Hello, storytelling run. I'm going to work on a Dark Ages, kind of like a quick intro GM one shot, or like a new GM can start this or do this as an example for an adventure. So let's go to this, and I'm using Foundry here, but you can do this at your table. All these things are on my, you can download and print out as printer-friendly little bits, or you can just draw out your own. But here's the basic story. The Christians are told to come to this little village, and you can create whatever village you want with different people. And they're going to go to this. They're told to go to the church and see what is amiss with the church. So what's going on is that, and I've already done other videos, but I'll do it again. But this is a really good one shot because it's less about evangelism and church planning, more about fortifying up a church, which is a Christian thing to do. So the church is here. It's infested with rats. And obviously rats are the perfect intro to any game. And so the first thing they want to do is go into the basement, find the rats, and get attacked, and do a little combat. So it's a little practice combat. Well, the first thing is to interact with the brother, and you can decide as a GM, you can roll 1 through 8, 1 being very, very evil, and 8 being Christ-like. Or you could roll 2d8 and keep the highest. It's up to you if you want to do it that way, or you can just come up with your own. But I think as new GMs, and me even as a 45-year veteran GM, I like to have a table or roll of dice that force me into a certain storyline. And so that's kind of why I have the conversion level 1 through 8, 1 being super evil and 8 being ready for Christ or Christ-like. And for him, I would roll 2d8 and pick the highest. So he could be a 6, a 4, and there's a little list there explaining kind of the general behavior of someone. And the reason I'm saying that for this guy is that he could be losing faith because of this rat infestation. And the people obviously in the town, you would roll the D8, whether you do 2d8, keep the lowest, or just a D8, and decide what their reaction is to the church. But the general reaction is they're, don't like, grossed out by the church because it's infested, and so it's cursed, or the Jesus God is weak, or whatever. And when I just said that the Jesus God is weak, I'm a Christian, and we're playing a Christian game. I'm not blaspheming the Lord. I am not insulting the Lord. I am creating a story so that you all can have fellowship in learning about the Christian faith, missionary work. But in doing that, I have to normally talk about pagans and what they think. And so do you. We can't go around thinking everything we say is a blaspheming Jesus if we have to bring up Jesus in the context of what we're doing. Saying the Lord's name in vain is about flippant, arrogant, mocking, scoffing, right? What I'm doing here is I'm trying to create an environment of fellowship amongst Christians, and I have to also describe the pagans and how their attitude and their flippant, mocking, scoffing of Christ. So I'm a street level Christian, right? Boots on the ground. I am not sacred. I'm not perfect, and I'm going to make mistakes, and I even going to make mistakes about biblical interpretation. And I'm stepping away too from legalism, like arguing about all the details of Christianity. And like, I would prefer priests, pastors, and reverends, and preachers, and everyone else doing that. And while I want just the kingdom of heaven and kingdom of God to be in our hearts and minds as laymen. So I'm kind of done with the legalism and arguing with other Christians. If you believe this is blasphemy, this game, go to the abortion clinics, go to the gay agenda, do what you got to do for the Lord. I'm working on this. Okay. All right. Go deal with Islam, whatever you want to do. Okay. All right. So the meet the brother, you could kind of decide, is he forlorn? Is he prayer and hopeful? Is he questioning his faith? That's sort of your decide how you want to roll that. Now, obviously in the ossuary or the tomb, catacomb or tomb or dungeon or basement, they've got a couple of brothers in the crypts here, in the tombs rather, and then a very simple adventure. They're not gonna there's no treasure here because it's obviously just right underneath the church. They just got to deal with the rats, and you can do the rats where it's fat. There's a smell. So what I have here is these basic rat is a pro 1, awareness 2. That's all I need. I don't need any other stats. The prowess 1 and awareness. Defense is 14. I add tiny plus 2. Oh, I should have. Ooh. So I put tiny plus 2, so it's 14, but actually it should be a 16. Because the awareness is a 2 there. So its defense is 12 by default, and then awareness is 2, so that's 14, and then I added timing plus 2, so makes it 16. Armor is nothing, so if you hit them, there's no armor save, and vigor is 3. So these are big rats, cat size or New York size. Bite plus 1, only D2 damage, melee. Swarm, susceptible to evil. That's just, what does that mean? I don't know. I just put it in there as like, if you want to do possession, demonic possessions later, then these would be susceptible to that. Okay, what does a swarm mean? I don't know. Whatever you want it to mean. I put it in as like, well, if they swarm, they should get some bonuses to their attacks. So I do have a swarm rule in there, but here's the thing. I can't remember right now. I'm right in the middle of a game. Don't even deal with it. If there's things in there you can't remember or do, just pass them up. And I want to just keep this simple and straightforward, okay? Foul bite. So if they get a bite and they actually manage to do some damage, you got to save versus an 11 with your prowess or spirit, or you're going to be at -1 die rank infection. You're going to feel the heat of it. It's festering on your arm or wherever it was biting. So it affects your rolls. Now, obviously, it doesn't affect your rolls. Anytime there's a penalty dice, again, just to remind you, just to keep it simple, the GM makes a note of whichever characters have penalties, and then you add it to your roll. So if some character got this bite and has a -1 DI rank, I would roll that and just add it to this defense of 16. So it's even harder to hit the rats. Why? The person has a foul arm, and it's harder to swing, or they're more nervous now and apprehensive about these rats running around, and it's very hard to hit them because they're scurrying, and I know, y'all know about rats, how hard it's to hit them. So there's that. So that's how penalty dice work. The GM uses them when he remembers to, and only once per turn. So only on one factor per turn per whoever has the penalty. The swarm, I would like to say if there's more than a few in one area, they get a +1 die rank to their attack and or damage kind of a thing. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm just gonna take these out. Actually, I kind of feel like, well, whatever. I don't need to worry about that right now. But anyway, that's that. Oh, will this update the other rats? I can't remember if it'll do it or not. Nope. Okay, in order for that to update, I got to go to the main area where they are over here. Because once you put them in here, they become singular type things. Okay. Rats large. I just want to put the 16 update because that's definitely something they all have. And when I do that, it should update all the ones that I haven't changed individually. So this one should have a 16 now. Yeah. Okay. So these rats all have they're hard to hit. Now, obviously, if I'm using this Foundry map, I will hide these, but for now I'm showing them. So here's you can have a church. It could be in any village. Maybe it's along the side of the road, a monastery or something. Whatever simple way of you just getting them into this church. You can have a couple buildings around him so that they can interact with other people. Again, you need to pre-roll their sort of disposition, their conversion level. Maybe what do they do? What's the industry or work that they do? Obviously, farming and something. And on the Dark Ages PDF or book, you can roll there if you want to. Now, the way I have this situated is there's a crack in the basement, and the foul smell coming out of it, and I would do a foul resistance. So prowess or spirit, prowess for physical. They could, you can let them if they want to argue another trait to use, like their intellect. Well, I use it in my intellect because I get some perfume and I change my and I make it smell. I'm like, okay, yeah, use your intellect on that. Oh, you got perfume? What kind of perfume? Well, it's a like the patron lady. What's a +2 die rank for perfume? Add that to your resist roll. That's a D6, right? So you can it can be open like that, open to interpretation. But for resisting, generally I do prowess and spirit. Prowess being your physicality to resist the stench, or spirit being your perseverance to resist the stench. And that could go for poisons. It could go for anything. Okay. Awareness is more like dodging and avoiding stuff, but I don't generally use that for a smell in the area. Okay, so anyway, and then this here is a rat swarm or rat pack, and so they're a little tougher. I'm going to update that one too a little bit just for my own sake. So they have a prowess of only 1, which is weird. And again, I wrote all these. I could change them anytime. Yeah, but prowess 1, awareness 1. And the reason I think I put awareness 1, these other ones don't matter. Secrecy is old. Awareness 1 is because when they get bigger, they just get oblivious. They could become more aware, but I notice rats that are sort of in groups, they're not as cautious, right? They're sort of herd mentality. That's my thinking. Defense is 12. Oh, wow, this is really older. I haven't touched this in a while. The formatting of this all. I'm just going to put their take 12 plus 1 is 13, and they're small, so I'm going to make it a 15. Oh, wow, stamina is the old. Okay, so let me just. You're learning as I learn. Okay, this is definitely the older, time I wrote these out. Defense 15. So no armor description because they don't have any. Save is 0, and then their vigor, not stamina anymore. I made it vigor is 12. That's interesting. That's because there's 4 of them, and they each have 3 vigor. So their bite is a D4 plus D4 and does D4 damage. So a little bit more. Now once they, this one here is their foul bites is pro spirit. I'm gonna say 13 because it's not instead of 11 because there's it's a pack now. They're like. It's a possibility of them all. Well, I can just leave 11 because they have a little potential more chance of doing damage with a D4 there. That's enough. -1 infection, -1 DI rank. Okay. Swarm susceptible to evil, whatever. Bite plus D4. Well, that's interesting because that's the 4 of them. Usually a bite is +1. Here, yeah, +1 +1 die rank. I'm gonna do it that way, and then D4. That's it. Okay. So that's their little thing there. That's a rat pack. And if they go down to like 6 vigor, I'll probably take off that 1 die rank to their bite. There's only 2 of them left, or 1 of them left, or 2, whatever. They might even scurry at that point. I'll do a denouement roll on them. Oh, this is supposed to be a 15 for the defense. Okay. And the rat swarm is a bigger version here. Obviously, you see. And it's got more. And this looks up to date or whatever. But if it's going to be a simple story, one shot, you kind of have to decide how many rats you're going to have, and then you got this rat giant here. Prowess 3, defense. Oh, this is older as well, a little bit older. Let's see, defense is going to be, I'm going to say 14. It's not tiny. I feel like it's sort of lazy and sitting there bloated. It may have an awareness of 2, but I feel like it's kind of, I'm going to just say 12, bloated, scraggy hide, save D2, vigor 14, yeah. Bite plus 3, D6, infected 4. If it does 4 points of damage, then you have the pro spirit resist of 14 or infected, and you add -1 die rank. Screech, all in a short range, pro spirit 12, or take D4 vigor, vitality. So painful, screeching blast. And remember, vitality or vigor, when you get to 0, it can refer to cuts and bruises, sores, exhaustion. It's all that temporary pain that can, knock you out, make you unconscious, and can kill you if you go past if you go to the negative of your total vitality. Okay, so that's it for that. So that's that story. But what's the real story is obviously this witch over here. With her cult minions, and these are the horned ones, but you can use any cult minions you want. Like if they were part of a horned one campaign, you could have the horned ones. I kind of feel like I would want to use other sort of more mundane bandits or brigands, but whatever. I'm gonna leave these guys here. But obviously this is a mine, right? So when they talk to the brother, they got to discover there's a basement, and they're coming up through this crevice, and there's a tunnel going down, but it's too narrow for them. Unless if they take their armor off, they could crawl through. So you can give them that. They're like, oh my gosh! So they got, they're gonna do that. They might, but they're gonna be in trouble. Well, these rat swarm come up and take. I would make this crawl. Think about this. Okay, let's start with a 12. They're crawling. That's 1 die rank difficulty. It's narrow in there. It's going down. So I'm doing all these little factors right now. It's going down. It's narrow. It's foul, smelly, putrid, 4 die ranks. Dark, 5 die ranks. I'm trying to think of anything else. I can only think of 5. I mean, that's enough. And when you get to 5, that's generally good enough. You can go beyond 5. Let me go beyond 5. I'll say it's I said foul, dark, narrow, inclined, or declined, and what was the other one? Okay, foul, dark, narrow, declining. I can only think of 4. Did I say a 5th one? I mean, I sure I did, but dark, foul, decline, narrow. Okay, I can only think of 4. So fine, don't fight it. So 12. I'm gonna roll, and I could do this in front of them. Oh, 13. See, I can do this in front of them, and it becomes a 13 difficulty. So that for whoever to climb down, now they got to take their armor off. They got to take their armor off, and then if they have their armor on, I'm gonna say you can't fit in there. Like, you literally cannot fit in there with your armor. Like, that's literally. So 13 difficulty to climb down. I'm a little bummed out about that number, but hey, that's what I love about this, is that it's in front of them. It's not an arbitrary number. It's not me saying 14, 16, 18, 20 for the difficulty, which you can do, which is totally fine. But I, as a GM, I've noticed that when I just determine a difficulty number, it kind of slows me down. It's a hitch in my pacing, because when I do it that way, I feel a little guilty. Am I doing it too difficult? Am I doing it too easy? Do they believe me when I tell them that difficulty? It's just a personal experience of mine as a 45-year veteran GM. So I really like this because I can just tell them, well, it's declining, it's narrow, it's dark, and they're all like, okay, yes. So that's 4 die ranks. So I'm gonna roll that, D10, which is a D10 plus the 12, and then I rolled a 13, and so they're like, cool, and I'm like, but hey, it seems to be actually, you fit rather well. It's not too much of a incline. This foul smell is not as bad as, but it's there. But so that's the way I do difficulties now, and I like doing it that way. Now the other way you could do it, which is really simple, is, although this is anything that's sort of treacherous terrain like this, and you allow them to wear their armor to crawl down. That's your decision or whatever. You just take their armor class or their armor save and roll that and add it to the difficulty. So I can any terrain that's I can just blanketly say is treacherous, muddy terrain, crawling down a tunnel, whatever it is. It's treacherous in the sense of it can something wrong can happen pretty easily. Then let's just say someone with brigandine armor, which is a D10 armor save. I just roll that again, and this is your for a brigandine 10. 22 for you get stuck, And another thing I could do with that same number, 22, and they got to roll and beat a 22. If they go below 22, let's say they roll a 14. If they roll a 14 and the difference of 14 and 22 is 8, half of that is 4. I got another 4 die rank here. I'm going to roll that and say, see, and then they're all like, crack it up. You take 1 vitality because of the exhaustion to get through there. If they rolled something really bad, like an 8 or 6 or 4, I would probably say they're stuck or can't even get through. And even a 14 is a little right in the middle, but I'm going to say, yeah, you're going to take up to 10 points of exhaustion trying to get through there, Or I could use that if I wanted and say they get a plus D10 to their attack roll on you, to hit you because you're confined, and they attack you at that point. You can use that die rank result, DRR, of 4 die rank, the 4 die ranks, which is 14. 22 is the difficulty I set, right? Do that roll. They roll a 14 if they're wearing brigandine armor. The difference is 8. So half that is 4. So 4 die ranks I get to play with. 4 die ranks I get to play with and do something with, right? So I'm not going to that point, man. So that's their. That's the way I do it, and I know, it's giving you options, okay? Options in the game, and you can openly say these options to the players, so they know what you're thinking, know what you're doing. Don't try to hide the rules, the way you're doing rules and stuff. Just okay. The way I'm thinking is this is the die ranks, this is the difficulty, or the way I'm thinking is I'm gonna let you wear your brigandine armor, but I'm gonna roll that as the difficulty for this treacherous terrain. Do that, Okay, you failed by this much. It's 4 die ranks. I'm gonna use 2 for vitality. And then 2, they get on their bonus to attack you because you're suddenly being attacked by rats. Openly say what you're doing. Don't try to hide, any of it. And just because it's a collaborative storytelling thing, and we're all trying to work out the mechanics of that in the game. Okay, so the one thing I did want to work on was this witch here, this hag, who is running this operation. She is feeding the mother rat and making it a bestial rat, a big monster rat. So that's a fun thing to, you know, the new characters can fight. But also they get to fight these bandits, and they get a chance of converting the bandits, right? I can roll right now for this bandit and see. I'm going to take out these guys because I don't want to use the horned ones, and just use regular bandits as I could use like more interesting, you know, pagans, but like there's some beastmen looking pagans who maybe want to you know, be like the rat beast. I could do one of these guys and then do a couple of brigands, you know, here. That might be cool too because it adds sort of a flavor to the characters, and this guy could have like a fear thing. So let me make out these characters then as and this, you know, this guy looks like the more city townful guy. This guy's the more, you know, homeless jerk guy, and then this guy's the zealot, the you know, the no, I don't want to say autistic, but the, you know, messed up zealot, you know, creepy guy who's messed up. Okay. Bad autism, not good autism or interesting autism. Unloving, unchosen. Okay, so this witch right here is actually a unique witch that I kind of want to. I don't want to lose her. Now this is Foundry details right here. I'm working on here, but whatever. I'm actually gonna do her as a. And the token here on the, if you see this, if you can see it, the witch I have here will do random tokens, so that's the main one. But it can show up as random, different witches. Anyway, let me do her stats. I'm gonna work it now. Her prowess is a 1 here. It shows already. I feel like she's in the caves here. She's very doing things. I'm actually gonna give her a salve of 1 because she has to build up. Yeah, she's messy. I'm gonna say -1. She knows how to do things, but very messy. I don't like the spirit 4 is fine. Intellect 3, socialism 5. Definitely not social. So I'm gonna take the socialism out. She's not social at all. She lives in a cave, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the intellect to 4. She's very intellectual, or not intellectual, but you know, knows her craft. Very crafty. There we go. So defensive 14 because she's got an awareness of 2. Armor rags, saves nothing. Vigor 6. That sounds good to me. Staff. I'm gonna say instead of staff, I'm gonna say ladle. She has a ladle. Ladle because she's obviously making these stews. Ladle plus 1. Oops. Ladle plus 1 plus 2 die ranks. That's for she's really good with that ladle. And that ladle is pretty much like a club, so I'm gonna say D6. With splash damage, like she's gonna have the heated stew, right? Heated stew, blast D4. So blast D4. I have a new rule that if she hits you with the ladle with D6 directly, she gets an additional D4 damage on you and blasts everyone in the area with, you know, that D4 up to D4 people nearby. Not herself. I'm gonna let that be, but others, anyone else that's near the target, and they too will take this searing pain. You know, searing boil, searing liquid. D4 damage. An additional D4 for the others. That's that. Ritual dagger, no. Magic points, 3 plus 2 die ranks. I'm gonna say 3 die ranks. Okay, so what is the magic then? I mean, her primary magic is just doing the stew, you know, the growth stew. So I don't really need to concern myself with that for the rat, you know, like that's her thing. I'm just trying to think if she has a magic, what would it be? And when I do magic for witches, I think of it in the physical realm of paganism, where is it like additional stew spray, you know, like acid spray, you know, puff of powder, poisonous powder, that kind of stuff. That's the way I look at it. And you know, she has ingredients, right? So she has ingredients. So I'm gonna say she's got the ladle of burning stew. She could do a real like stew blast that's not an attack on one, but on everybody. So I'm gonna do that. Stew blast bigger. And so what does that mean? What does a stew blast bigger mean for magic points? So let's just say she has 3 magic points plus 3 DR, which is a D8, right? I'm just trying to teach you guys about the way I use magic and blessings in for the lore. It is a little tricky. I know it is. I'm just a fool for my own stupid ideas. Okay, so 8. Ooh. So she has 8 plus 3 is 11. And I'm gonna pre-roll this, so 11 magic points for encounter. Okay, so what does that mean? That means when she decides to do a stew blast, just call it stew blast. She's literally taking it and splashing it on everyone and burn in the liquids of the rat god or whatever, whatever evil thing she wants to say. But she has to be near the cauldron, right? Near cauldron. I could even say that the cauldron gives her an additional 1 die rank of magic points because it's right there, big cauldron of stew. But I'm going to pass that since she did 11 magic points already. So what does that mean? She can do, and I got this cool little macro here, but I'll explain it. Oh, not that one. Where'd my cool little macro go? Is this it? Okay, so if you look, I don't know if you can see this macro, but it has the blessings factors: deliverance, deluge, duration, duress, and distance. See how cool I am with all of these? Deliverance is the amount of damage, or the amount of healing, or the amount of bonus, or the amount of curse, or whatever. That's what deliverance is. Okay, deluge is how many you affect. Right. So these are very common sense. Duration, how many turns? Duress is increasing the resistance roll. If you're trying to convert one person, and maybe you want to add some to duress, so their resist is tougher. And that actually for preaching, duress would be the main thing you would use if you have a preach blessing. The main thing you would use would be duress, not deliverance, because you're trying to convert them, and they have to resist. Distance is very open-ended for me, in whether you use it or not. As a GM, it's just based on if I want to heal one person, 1 die rank, one deliverance, right? But they're way over there. I'm gonna be like, well, you're only trying to heal one thing. I'm gonna make you spend another for distance because he's way over there. If you were doing like a 10, I want to heal someone 5 die ranks, which is a D12. I would allow you to just go, and he's way over there. I would say go ahead and do it. That's fine because you're spending 5. So that's the way I use distance. Very open-ended in that sense. So deliverance, deluge, duration are the main 3, and duress is obviously used if they have to resist. So deliverance for the stew blast, it would be the damage, right? Damage on the person. Deluge, how many she wants to affect. And the duration, I would not use duration, but duration could be like how long it burns on them per turn. I would allow a resistance per turn, as in, but I would describe the resistance as them getting it off of them, right? Using their awareness to wipe it off, using whatever to get the stew off of them. That's their resistance per turn, and it would be a roll, and it would be based. And she could say a duress, right? She could make it sticky stew or whatever, but it would be the basic the resistance would be a 12. So for the stew blast, she would use, I would say, I'm actually gonna give her near cauldron plus 1 die rank. So I'm gonna make this pretty mean. So what does that mean? The cauldron gives her a plus 1 die rank to her stew blast. So if she spends 2 die ranks for deliverance, it's gonna be 3, right? And in deluge, she spends 2 ranks, it's gonna be 3 because of the plus 1 die rank cauldron. It's like a magic item to her. So she's gonna spend 4 MPs, 2 deliverance and 2 deluge. Right, and plus 1 die ranks each. Just to remind myself. All right, for cauldron. I'm just reminding myself. That's her attack there. Stew blast. What else can she do? She can encourage her guys. Here's how she encourages them. She gives them a taste of the stew. Like if she knows that you guys are coming, stew blast, and then stew, what's that called? Stew rage. So Deliverance is, yeah. So with, okay, with +1 die rank cauldron, +2 die ranks to hit. That's the deliverance. So they get +2 die ranks to hit, which is the deliverance part of it. Deluge is one per. She just has to have. No, she can do deluge because she basically feeds them all really quickly, gives them all a spoon. You know, that's deluge. So 2 die ranks in delusion. 2 die ranks to deluge. And duration, sure, 2 die ranks duration. So that's like, so 3 MPs, 3 magic points, because the cauldron gives her 1 die rank already. So that's her power is the cauldron, right? So this is a cool little character, you know. Growth stew for rats is the ritual part. So that's just, you know, in this game you can, if as a GM, if you're obsessed with a campaign, you can create the non-encounter type magic points they use to grow, you know, to grow their rats or steroid their villains or whatever. And I make a note of that in this, but it's unnecessary for these for you know, these quick games and stuff like that. Okay, so that's how blessings work, or magic. And now I do differentiate blessings and magic for pagans. Blessings of Christians, and I read about this too, the hagiographies. We Christians use the word. That's all we use. We don't need anything else. We need, you know, prayer, blessings, the word, and that's it. Pagans have to use pageantry. They use drugs, they use fireworks, they use oil, they use makeup, they use music. They have to do this show, and that's why maybe we dog some churches that are too showy. But that's what they do to get you to whatever, accept their magic. So that's the difference. I mean, we obviously both believe in magic and you know, in the spiritual world and demons and, you know, and miracles. But we just use, and our blessings are meant to help people and give them strength. Pagan magic is meant to control, to destroy, to you know, have power over. Okay. So that's it for pre-roll. Just make a note here. Pre-roll. Okay, so I'm just kind of formatting here the witch thing. So she's got the ladle +1 +2 die ranks, D6. That's a big ladle, big ladle. Heated stew blast D4. So she'll have on the ladle she'll have a searing, boiling, you know, stew liquids, because she's constantly simmering that stew, very hot liquid, an additional D4 damage. Well, to anyone nearby, and obviously an extra D4 to the person she hits if she does hit them. So that's a D6 plus D4 basically. If she hits, if she misses them, then I still roll the 4, or still the 4. She could still hit people, including the target, with the searing liquid. If she's within 4 of the target of the hit. So try to remember that if you can, and if you forget, that's fine too. No big deal. Magic points, right? 3 + 3 die ranks. I did a pre-roll of 11 magic points for encounter. So she has a stew blast near cauldron, 4 magic points, 2 for deliverance. Let me write down deliverance. 2 for deluge. And I'm gonna have to put this note here. Includes +1 die rank from cauldron. From cauldron. Oh wait, 2 for deliverance. Okay, 3 die ranks deliverance. I'm trying to make notes so that, because I'm going to post this on my thing, and then so I want people to understand it. So 3 die ranks for deliverance damage, 3 die ranks for deluge, includes 1 die rank from cauldron. Includes the, I'm just trying to keep this clear for players that want to, GMs that want to use this. Stew rage with +1 die rank cauldron, +2 DR to hit, +2 DR to deluge, and 2 die rank duration, 3 magic points. Okay, so it's one For the stew rage, she only has to spend 1 for the to hit, 1 for the delusion, 1 for the duration, and then the cauldron gives her 1 for each of those. See how cool this is? So that's it. I don't need to put any other kind of magic on her. I don't need to make a spell list of 10 spells or whatever. She has 11 magic points, and that's what she can spend it on. And she can do it once per turn, one of those. Okay, and then when she's done with that, she's just gonna swing her ladle in rage. But she still has these villains, right? She still has. Let me see, hag, witch. I don't know what to call her. Rat. Oh, let me come up with a name with my Dark Ages here. I can roll. Okay, I need to read my Bible today. I'll get that out right now. I'll do it. Just get it right here. Okay. I'm gonna do a full screen just for the fun of it. No, got my Dark Ages book, and you can get this as a PDF for free, or you can buy the hardbound. Love this on Amazon. That's all I know. Okay, where? Oh, the witches and sorcerers have their own naming book towards the end here. And I actually added a section for wizards if you want to play like an Eastern Orthodox wizard that comes into Italy, like a good magician who converts to Christianity, because there's been actual magicians in the Dark Ages who converted to Christianity and gave up their magicianism. But you could have them do these things for the Lord. And the magic that they know is tricks, like, prestidigitation or magic tricks. And the pagans use that to, sell the paganism. But these magicians, wizards, could use it to help, their missionaries, their party. And so there's a section on explaining that. All right, power of evil, witch names. Let me roll. And I'm going to use the foundry roll here. So I guess I'll go back to... Okay, so I'm going to get her name. I'm going to use all three syllables. Here we go. And I'm just going to go left to right as far as this, which syllable to this syllable. 6, 11, 9. 6, 11, 9. Here we go. 6, 11, 9. 6, 11, ill. 9 is. Ill is. Wow. Ill is. I mean, I can change it however I want. Ariels. Hag witch. I'm trying to think. Hag Earlis. God, that's a weird name. Hey, Earlis. Hag Earlis. Okay. Hag Earlis. I want to give her like a more of a name. The rodent thing. Hag Irilis, the stewer, the irate. Irilis the irate. Irilis the irate. The irate. The irate. The irate. Let's just go with that. Irate. Irilis the irate. Okay. Don't know what that means, but it sounds cool because it's a ratty name. Okay, that's it. That's her character. Let me write a little descriptor at the bottom here. Growth stew for monstrous rats is the ritual part. I think that's good enough. I don't need to describe anymore. Okay. So these guys are basic bandits. These guys are pretty basic, these two. So I'm just gonna leave them as is. The Beastman. He's got the old traits of aggression versus other than prowess. And somebody on YouTube or some guy, thank you very much, he suggested prowess instead of aggression. Because to me, I always, in medieval armored combat, I feel it's our aggressiveness that to me is more important than our strength or dexterity when it comes to melee combat anyway, or our strength anyway. Because I've seen really muscle-bound dudes get their butts whipper-snapped. It's the aggression of the fighters that's the most successful. But but training obviously goes past that. But for the initial, it's their aggression. But he said prowess, and prowess is a little more noble. It's a little more about the prowess, not just aggressiveness. Anyway, Beastman, prowess, awareness. Okay, blah blah blah.
I don't mind keeping this the way it is. Black Magic Feral included in stats. Okay, so it's just a little tougher guy. That's fine. I think that's this is all good. This is all totally fine. So I'm gonna leave that the way it is. But I think Hag Relaz the Erat is the. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, and I'm gonna try to figure out a way to show this in a little one-page PDF with all the creature stats. And as a one-page adventure that's easy enough to incorporate into your anything, and you could drop the missionaries right in there because they're go visit this church and see what's going on there as their mission, and this is what they discover, and having a couple of locals living around the church that are grossed out by the church. So that's it. I'm gonna put this in a little format somehow and on a PDF and put it on my website or somewhere, and just freely hand it out to whoever. I'm trying to figure out ways to, because I know we need more adventures for the Lord RPG, because that helps explain the game better. Because I feel like a lot of people just don't get it, but it's right there. It's right on the cusp of getting it for everybody. Anyway, okay, so that's it for this little explanation. I think that's a fun little adventure. You got all the things in it that you want: investigation, mystery, rats to start off with characters or new characters, and little rat monster, and of course the bandits and the witch and her basic little stew magic there, and then the mystery of the mine. You could make the mine more, add more stuff in there, maybe a scary big worm creature or primordial type of thing. And this all fits in perfectly with Dark Ages, with church history, it's an exaggeration of church history, it's an exaggeration of paganism, but it's really for entertainment value, but it's really about having fun, getting kids to do this and talk about their faith, and then also see what paganism is about. It is about this pageantry. It's about drugs. It's about pushing something scary that really isn't scary if you just deal with it. Okay, in the game of life, everybody, roll